Hey, hi. I had a really nice conversation with Tyler Maines, the owner of ONIMA, and I'd like to share this special moment with you.
Extremadura. We recording?
Yeah, we were recording already. All right, so cool. So today it's gonna be like, again, we tried last week, it didn't work, right? This time, I'm pretty sure it's gonna work out. Our first official Spicy Honeys video, right? Here at our store. Where are we, man? Where's that? Where are we?
We're in Barcelona. I don't know, what neighborhood is this actually?
Barcelona, Spain, right?
Yeah, Barcelona, Spain.
So you guys know, right? Sweet. Well, let me introduce myself. I'm Marco. Yeah, I work here at Spicy Honeys, and please introduce yourself.
I'm Tyler. I'm from the US, specifically Kentucky, and 2 years ago we moved to Barcelona, and I started this hot sauce company that I call ONIMA. And since then, you know, I've seen a lot of growth and the spicy community here in Spain, and it's kind of turned from a hobby into like a real project, a real business. And it's cool. Now we're seeing Marcos has opened up Barcelona's first hot sauce dedicated shop. So clearly it's trending upward. We're gonna keep riding the wave. So I'm excited.
Sweet, sweet. Well, let me tell you guys how I met Tyler, right? At the beginning of the year, right, I was looking for producers, right, because I had this idea, open a store here, dedicated, specialized in hot sauces, and I was looking for producers in the area, right, and I found ONIMA. Yeah, I got in touch with Tyler. It was I think January. He wrote back, but I had so much stuff to do that I kind of forgot it. Yeah. A few months later, I was like, okay, my store is almost ready. Let me see who replied, who did it, and I wrote him back, and he was like, yeah, man, all right, let's meet up. And well, it was actually let me tell the story again, right? I wrote it in Spanish, right, because I didn't know that he was American, right? I wrote in Spanish. He wrote back in Spanish. Man, was the best Spanish that you could ever read, see. I was like, all right, interesting. Either this dude is using Google Translate, or he's like a Spanish professor at the university or something like that, right? And he wrote back and forth, and in one of his emails he wrote like at the end, right, like small letters like, let's have a call, right? But I only speak English, right? And I was like, oh, my theory is confirmed. And it's pretty cool. Like I called him and we met up, right?
Yeah. No, pretty quick. I mean, you called me. You were still planning. I think you had the spot, but you hadn't purchased any sauce.
No. I still had the scaffold in here.
Yeah.
Inside.
Yeah, so you said stop by, and then I came by. I brought you some samples, some bottles of what I had at the time, what I still have, and and there was scaffolding. There was maybe some cases of hot sauce on the floor, but it was. I mean, this wasn't that long ago. At this point now, I mean, we're talking a month and a half, something like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, and now the shop is open, lights on, shelves full of hot sauce. Every time I come in, it's just I expect to hey, what's up, Marcos? And then all of a sudden there's one group of people, two group of people, three group of people, and it's so many people, and every time it's a different language, and he just quickly shifts to whatever language that it is.
It's a lie, right? It's a good lie. That's good.
But it's cool. It's cool. I mean, so you've been open now for 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
Yeah, actually 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah. 3 weeks.
And I'm really excited. I first thought, the first month, 2 months, would be like, nothing would happen. Like we'd make like 30 euros a month or something, 30 euros a week, let's say, right? And all of a sudden, there's all these people, and the more you sell, the more you get used to it, and you develop like this. You develop your style, right? And I don't know, but it's so cool.
100%. And but it's the same in like making and selling is like repetition breeds patterns. So like I'm sure whenever you're selling sauce, like you have a tendency to like say like first you recommend this and then you recommend that, and then you feel, okay, what is it that this customer is interested in? But you're guessing after 30 seconds, and then okay, like maybe let's change it up this time and talk about this producer, this flavor, this level of heat, whatever. But it's kind of the same for making too. So like whenever I make sauce, it always starts with a concept, with a story before any ingredients or chilies or anything.
Excuse me if I interrupt you, but tell us why did you start? How come? How did you start making hot sauce?
It was, so all of my life I've been just kind of like, I won't say born into it, but from a young teenager just fermenting things. So yeah, it's been about 17 years of fermenting either, beer, wine, pickles, vegetables.
Wine also? All right.
Yeah, everything. So it all kind of started from a family friend dare. I wanted to drink beer. I saw beer in the fridge, and I was 15, around 15, 16 at the time, and the response was, no, like, come on, like you can't drink beer, but if I dare you to make beer. If you make the beer, then you can drink the beer. Easy, challenge accepted. So immediately went and made beer. The beer was awful. It was terrible. But at the end of the day, even though it tasted bad, it was beer. So got to drink beer when I was 16. Not a lot, but I mean, like I made it, I tasted it. It was, So
how strong was that?
How strong was the beer? I mean, it came from a kit that was like pre-manufactured from the store. So I would assume at that time, I don't even remember the style of beer, but it was probably 5-6% at most. So yeah, had it, tasted it, hooked me. Actually, I wasn't really consuming a lot, but I got hooked on making it.
Yeah.
So I kept making more and more and more, and getting more adventurous. And like at first, anytime you learn something, you kind of just want to throw everything at it, and you don't have any sort of sense of subtlety or nuance. And so I was like, okay, this is my opportunity. I'm going to make it double strength, triple strength, quadruple strength. I'm going to go for the biggest beer that I could do, and I'm going to put every ingredient possible in it. And I did, and learned a lot from that. And then over time, you slowly wind back, and you learn that finding balance and nuance and harmony is a lot more important than just making the craziest thing ever. So that took half my life. I'm 32 now, and I started when I was 15, really, with or at least the seed was planted when I was 15. Started doing it professionally when I was 18, 19. So it's taken a while to understand that subtlety can dominate over aggressiveness. But that being said, now that I'm working in hot sauce is explicitly by nature aggressive. It's capsaicin. It's a poison. It's
it's a defense mechanism, right?
100%, legitimately. It's a defense mechanism made by plants to,
and what we needed, actually, right?
Yeah, it hurts your tongue. It's actually not spicy is not a taste. It's a mouthfeel. It's like a pain receptor in your tongue. So yeah, but in a way, the way that I work is it kind of replaces ethanol, alcohol, what you find in beer, wine, whatever. Because if you just strip away all of the flavor compounds and the nuances from wine, from beer, especially hard liquor, spirits, ethanol hurts. Like if you just drink 100% pure alcohol, it doesn't taste good. It hurts. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with hot sauce. If you do 100% pure capsaicin, oh, come on, you're on the floor. It's terrible.
Oh, buddy.
Like, I'd rather take a bunch of shots of Everclear and have a hangover for 2 days than even take a pinch of pure capsaicin.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first reaction, my first reaction would be like run around like crazy, sweating, shouting, like, ah. And then afterwards would be like laying on the floor, like.
You can't talk, you legitimately start hallucinating. It's crazy. But what I find interesting in that is that humans have a tendency to love this, like, they find pleasure in pain. So if you flirt with things that, you know, not only harm your brain and sort of like, not that capsaicin harms your brain, but like make you think that something hurts and sort of like, yeah, this idea of like, man, I'm going to suffer for the next 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or man, I'm going to suffer tomorrow. It also triggers a pleasure response. So hot sauce really does that. And it's like, it's this thing while you're eating it, you go like, and then like after you're like sweating and you're like, yeah, I feel a little crazy. Like my blood's flowing more quickly, but
yeah, but many times after a while, you're like, I'm going to have another hit, you know, like, yeah. It's like, it's burning. After a couple of minutes, you're like, oh, I want to feel it again, you know?
It's like the safest drug ever.
But it's funny. I don't know if you remember, we were talking about this last week, and it reminded me, there's a song from Queen. You guys remember Queen, right? Freddie Mercury. In which he says in the lyrics, like, pain is so close to pleasure. And it's definitely true, yeah.
Yep, very, very true. I mean, there's a reason that, like, people talk about this. Like, pain, is pain pleasure? Is pleasure pain? Like, there's, yeah. It's,
I mean, we don't want to get too kinky here, right? We're talking about hot sauce.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
and you're from Kentucky.
I am.
How come, like, why Barcelona? How come, I mean, first Europe, and then Barcelona, why? What brought you to?
Yeah, so kind of the path is that, so from Kentucky, I moved to Northern Ohio for college, went to school there. And that's, quickly dropped out, got my first job. My first job was actually pretty industrial. So it was like a larger manufacturer of beer. It was like flirting with craft and sort of whatever that next
because
step
your sauces are also fermented, right?
Yeah, everything that I do is relies very, very heavily on fermentation. So yeah, and then after that, one-way ticket to Europe, started, freelance brewing, staging, interning at all of these places in Belgium and Denmark, back and forth to the US however many times. And then how we wound up in Barcelona is that my girlfriend, she did a master's program. She did her master's program in Barcelona. And so, at that point, this is like semi-post COVID, and I'm during COVID, I spent all of my COVID time. I built a lab. I built a kitchen in our basement in our house. Learning, like really digging deep into the plants and just sort of what's growing wild,
like Dr. Great Thumb kind of
just like
a crazy scientist in the lab, like, oh, wow,
just like really learning and like what was in our area and and that sort of taught me, you know, like this is possible anywhere. No matter where I move, there's always something. Like life happens, and life happens everywhere. So you can take life, you can bring it into your kitchen, into your lab. You can preserve it, typically through fermentation is a big part of that process. And so yeah, I was just doing that all of COVID, and I didn't really know how to manifest it into anything because I didn't have a job.
But you had it already in mind that you would be producing hot sauce, making a company.
It wasn't specifically hot sauce. It was just fermentation related, preservation related, and you know, for all of COVID, I didn't have a job. Like, so that means no money coming in. Fortunately, I wasn't.
It's kind of hard.
Yeah, I wasn't buying things to preserve or ferment. I was harvesting them. I was foraging them. I was like going out and finding these like indigenous things, these ingredients, like these wild things from where I'm from.
But I'm sorry, but when you don't have a job and you have this pressure to do something, you know, like you gotta make some money, you know?
Yeah.
It's also a motivation factor, right? You're like, okay,
yeah, fortunately,
make it work.
The money factor didn't come in until the end of COVID. And then I was like, okay, like it's been 2 years now. Like it's time. But what that did is those two years basically afforded me, you know, my master's program, my PhD or whatever, and this, because like it's something that I've done all of my life, and then this 2 years was a hyper-focused version of it with unlimited creativity, with no pressure until the pressure came, because then it was time to make money, and then I needed to turn this into a business. Hot sauce wasn't the first option. It was too ambitious of a business, but what I wanted to do, so if you look at the name of the company, ONIMA, if you read it in reverse, it's amino. So
yeah,
amino acids.
Right.
So if you read ONIMA backwards, it's amino. Amino are these free liquid amino acids derived from
like amino acid, right?
So if you read ONIMA backwards, it reads amino, and that was the first business model of producing free liquid amino acids, which can be derived from vegetable protein, animal protein. And the day that we landed, we were walking through our neighborhood, and I saw a poster for Spicy. It's called Spicy Fest.
How cool, man. What a coincidence.
And Spicy Fest was 2 blocks away from our apartment. So that weekend, go to Spicy Fest. I meet, I forget, maybe 3 local hot sauce makers, some people not from Barcelona but from Spain, some chili growers, and I thought, and I had also been playing around with some spicy condiments at the time, but it wasn't really the business model. And I thought, you know, I need something to fund this amino project, but I need it to be meaningful. What can I do? And then I was like, okay, I could ferment chilies from Spain. I could, you know, make the product in 45 days, which, by the way, for production, 45 days is still a very long time compared to most people. Most people are just buying things from their suppliers and then making it the day of, and it's out the door. It's a 1-day process. So times 45 is my version of short. And yeah, I thought this could be like a good way to fund that project. Well, started it, and then I said, well, this is no longer an amino project. What can I call this? Well, simply just reverse it. It's ONIMA. And then, yeah.
I never thought of that. I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
Like,
it's since then.
Amino acid, like.
And I mean, given just the fact of like what is happening in the fermentation process, yeah, there's a lot of like amino acids in it, so it's not like a totally separate thing.
Sure,
it's very related, but yeah, that's the origin story of the name of ONIMA.
It's a really cool name, actually. It's like an unusual kind of a sounding name, I would say.
Yeah.
But cool. I mean, once you have it, it's like it doesn't get out of your mind.
Yeah.
Even my daughter was like, "Oh, tonight the ONIMA guy's coming, right, Dad?" I was like, "Yeah, exactly."
I've also embraced pretty hardcore in like the philosophy of the company, ONIMA. So like the O, like in fermentation, but like fermentation results in bubbles. Bubbles are spherical. If you look them dead on in 2D, they're circular. So ONIMA starts with the O, and we've really embraced this whole like organic sort of like O with like everything's a little bit like not deformed, but organic in structure. And
Sure.
like, if you look at the logo, like everything's sort of like pushing against each other.
Yeah, like the round it's round, but not totally right. It's organic, as you say.
In the process that I'm using, I'm going back to my early days where I would throw, 30, 40 ingredients in something and make it as strong as possible. But the difference now in like ideation of recipes is that I like, instead of just like throwing everything in the pot, it's taking all of that knowledge from the past of all of these ingredients while learning about all of these like new ingredients to me. Like they're not new, but they're new to me in Spain, specifically Catalonia. And like, how can we build layers of complexity without being overbearing? So if you look at the ingredients lists on all of my sauces, they're not simple.
Because I'm not only, I mean, it's going to be talking about each sauce, right? But guys, take a look at the labels. Yeah, I got to show you guys this. Take a look. Oh man, this is one of my favorites. Take a look at this beauty. Take a look at this beauty. Right? Right? I mean, he really tries to express what you feel while eating these sauces through the labels. It's a piece of art.
Yeah, so every sauce starts with a concept or a story before I even consider ingredients.
Okay, that's this one, for example. Outside's open. What's the story behind this one?
So this is it's not just singular, it's part of a trilogy of sauces. So the way that I've been releasing sauces has been, in order to tell stories, has been in a 3-pack format. So this is a part of a trilogy called Outside's Open, Outside's Over, and Come Inside. Outside's Open, Outside's Open is talking about, hey man, like it's springtime, like let's go outside. It feels nice, like winter's over.
That's almost the first invitation to
100%
go out and enjoy
the hero ingredient in this sauce is calçot, which in Catalonia it's a regional onion. And like there's a whole pomp and circumstance, like a whole festival around. It's a tradition around this onion. So what you do, and it's very specific type of allium. You throw it on the fire, and you char it, you burn it, you balance the heat to cook the inside until it's super tender, and then the whole experience is ripping out the now blackened shell of it, dipping it in romesco. And in one bite, as much as you can, lower it into your mouth and your throat and chomp it down. That's the whole idea. So these events are typically very smoke-filled, and there's barbecue and blah, 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 all this happening. So I wanted to embrace that as much as possible. This is with the calçot cooked on the fire, and to acidify it, some sherry vinegar, and lots of other ingredients to heighten it in different ways, like a little bit of pineapple to bring like freshness, whatever. But for me, at the end of calçotada, I'm always having chupito, like small shots of liquor, and for whatever reason, it always winds up being chartreuse wherever I go. So yeah, the herbal sort of aspect of this to round it out is chartreuse from Tarragona, where it's still produced, specifically the elixir, the condensed version of it. So that's that. The next one in that series is Outside's Over.
Wait a second. Before you continue, let me try this one.
Yeah.
It really looks fantastic. Like
Over.
Wait a second. Before you continue, let me try this one.
Yeah.
It really looks fantastic. Like it's 100 ml bottles, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Ml. If you're gonna take an airplane, you're not gonna check in your luggage. This one here is the one to go.
Very strong in smell. 2 out of 5 heat, so relatively low. It's a nice introduction to spring. Very pungent.
But like you can really tell, like the ingredients. You can really feel like taste each one of them.
It's like extremely garlic heavy. This one. Goes for this sauce, jalapenos with striations, which are these limes.
So which one would you recommend us next?
So probably Come Inside, just because the other green one, because we're still dealing with the same jalapeno. It's actually from the same batch, fermented for the same amount of time, also from the same series.
Right. So now we're gonna go with Come Inside.
And then I guess let's actually start with the concept before we go into ingredients. It's much easier to explain it.
I mean, you go ahead. I'm eating while you're.
So the series began with Outside's Open, which is like this ambitious, like sort of like optimistic view on the world. The one in the middle of the series is called Outside's Over, which is saying like, you know, like the world's burning, blah blah blah. This is maybe it's time to rethink being outside because it's getting very hot.
Oh man, I can't believe I can really taste the kiwi.
Yeah, I hope so. There's a lot of kiwi.
Oh, wow.
So and then this one's called Come Inside, and this is where you are essentially putting on your VR headset. You're saying, don't bother me. The only time that I ever want to see anybody is if I ordered Domino's and the pizza guy showed up, and you're getting all of your everything mail ordered, this sort of thing. It's like
don't bother me at all.
Yeah, very like not a good outlook on the world. So it's Come Inside. Most of the sauces that I produce are acidified with kombucha rather than vinegar. And I'll tell you why it's important to acidify sauces before I explain the difference between vinegar and kombucha. So sauces need to be acidified. They need to have acid added to them for dilution, because if you just have pure chilies in a hot sauce, it's gonna be too strong. It's not gonna have the right consistency. You need some sort of liquid. Typically what's used is vinegar, because Tabasco, one of the most popular sauces in the world, uses 70% vinegar. You just need something acidic. Also, it helps for preservation, shelf life, all of these things. It's a flavor enhancer. Now, what I choose to do typically is use kombucha instead. And the reason for that, and I'll explain what kombucha is in a second. So kombucha shares similar pH properties, acidic properties to vinegar. I can control that a lot easier. We can choose to ferment the kombucha younger, a little bit older, to control the acid sugar levels.
Just a second, I can't believe you sound like a scientist with it. We're talking about sauces. You guys have an idea how complex is this thing? I was not aware of that. This is crazy. I'm really enjoying it. It's a lecture.
Kombucha is a fermented tea beverage, basically. So you're taking any variety of tea, typically black tea, and you're giving it what's called a SCOBY, a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. It's like a big rubber frisbee raft that floats on top of the liquid, And you can produce kombucha in as little as 3 days if it's warm, and you can take it as far as you want. You could eventually even turn the kombucha into vinegar if you want.
I'm sorry, I don't know if your talk is influencing me, but I'm starting to feel the taste of tea.
It's possible.
I don't know, what the heck?
It's possible.
Crazy.
But part of the reason it's not just the acidification process that I choose kombucha. I can choose, because I'm controlling all of the fermentation properties of kombucha, I infuse it with things. So for example, in this, I'm using Maria Luisa. So yes, it's black tea for the initial fermentation and sugar and the SCOBY and water, but also the verbena, which is a wildly, it's like a, yeah, now people cultivate it and they grow it, but it's wildly found. And it's this bright lemony sort of herb that you put in, that you put it in the kombucha, it steeps like a tea. And that's the liquid in this, is
guys,
that.
It really burns. I can really feel the heat. I'm going to start to sweat in a bit. Right? But it still is like really, what's the word?
No.
Pleasure.
Pain and pleasure, man.
Oh. Like
So-
cut. I call. What do you say that? Pleasureful, pleasurous. How do you say that? What's the
Like, explain your feeling. Like, what do you...
something that gives you pleasure? What's the name of? What's the word for that?
It's like, if you feel pleasure?
Yeah, it gives you pleasure. Is pleasure?
Pleasureful is not a word.
It's not a word, right?
No. I don't know.
Pleasant.
You feel pleasant? I mean, that just means you feel good.
Yeah, it tastes good. I know, it makes you feel good. Sweet, man. All right, let's go to the next one because I want to taste it more.
Probably Malsain before Crybaby.
All right.
So Malsain is...
Guys, take a look at this label. Isn't that a beauty? Yeah.
Okay. So Malsain was part of the original 3-pack trilogy that was released. This was my first exploration to...
First the name, what's mouse?
in Catalan, it's nightmare.
Catalan. You speak Catalan?
Not really, no.
Wait, know a few words.
Yeah, here and there.
This is my man.
It's so it's nightmare, and kind of the concept behind this one.
All right. So smell like bad and sound like sleep or. All right.
Oh,
feeling
that's
sleep.
the etymology of it. Maybe
Yeah.
that's how it breaks down.
All right,
yeah.
like bad
sleep, yeah.
dream or something like.
Yeah, maybe.
Like Spanish sueño, kind of. I think.
So this is going to jump up in spice from.
Is that right?
From the other two. This is habanero based.
Prepared to see me start sweating here.
But so Malsain, nightmare. Kind of the concept behind this was.
Oh, man, I'm afraid.
It was like me understanding at the time that not so much spicy food exists in Spain. And I was wondering why that was, and I started looking back through the history of Spain, and I realized that, at one point in time, there are a lot of people from Morocco, a lot of people from, Afghanistan, like Persia, Middle East, living in here where what we call Barcelona now, and also like down the coast, everything. And then I thought, that's weird that you don't really see a lot of their foods. Like occasionally you'll see like on a lamb skewer or something. What happened? Well, in 1492, the Catholic Church kicked out all of these people.
Yeah.
What happens when you kick people out of your country? Well, they leave, but their food goes with them. So I have this working theory that when these people left, they took all of their, with them, their spices, their peppers.
All their customs with them. Right?
Of course, all of this. So, that's kind of the theory. Also, like with the Catholic Church, there's a bit of like spice is the devil, like don't like overindulge, like make life a little bit more neutral and pious, this sort of idea.
I want to be as neuter as possible, right? So that's his words.
Of course, it's a theory, but yeah. So for me, that's very much a nightmare. And so what that translates to in the ingredients, so it's carrot based. Carrots are speculated to
all right,
come
got some
from
carrot here.
Afghanistan. And then because Barcelona is such an important trade city historically, this contains flowers, pollens, seeds, like vegetable material, the actual stalk, everything from what's called the umbellifer family, which it's the Latin family of plants. So that means cumin, caraway, parsley, cilantro. Usually quite a bit. It's we're getting into punchy territory. Yeah, and then the kombucha used is lemon and ginger to brighten it up, and the ginger and the turmeric play well together. Yeah, it's a very, very aromatic
with
sauce.
Onions also, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yum, yum. What's that, red pepper? What's that?
Just your typical long red pepper. I didn't want to go too heavy on the habanero because I didn't want it to be like crazy spicy. But all of these like herbs and flowers and pollens are playing so because habanero is very, very aromatic. It's very floral. It can, depending on how you use it, it can lean into tropical fruit. It can lean into, in this case, savory is what I wanted to do. So yeah, that's kind of this sauce more or less.
Malson, right? I first thought of course, I mean, I picked some catalog, but my catalog's not so good. I saw Malson. It reminded me some name of some, I don't know, like a bad character in a horror movie or something, like Mr. Malson or something.
Not far off. It's
right.
It's a nightmare.
Crazy.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, guys, I present you Crybaby. Take a look at this beauty. Gives you nightmares.
So Crybaby's been one of the favorites. This is part of the first release from ONIMA. Crybaby is heavily based on the idea of Barcelona being traditionally, historically, a port city. One of the most important.
Man, it's been like for 2,000 years.
Yeah,
like the Romans were here. Like
yeah, like at the time, at a certain point in history, this Barcelona was by far the most important trade hub in the world. So I started thinking, if I'm limited in some sense by the aromatics and the spices you like commonly found here now, why am I defining what I'm making by now? And like, how can I like thoughtfully reach into the past or the future based on trade? So this idea of
wait a second, this guy's what the heck's going on here? It's not only a crazy Dr. Green Thumb, crazy lab professor. He's a historian. What is going on here? ONIMA.
So this idea of considering the importance of geography is like for me really interesting because how did, like, for example, how did Hing, like what we call Hing or some of these like curry influences, how did they reach opposite sides of the world? Well, Barcelona played a very important part in the spice trade. So it would be, it's very relevant and not like, it's not random. Yeah, this is spicy. It's not random to use all of these curry flavors that are used in the sauce, in this sauce. That being said, I wanted to make sure that my version of a masala is not using any spices that never...
Okay. Your version of what?
Masala, like spice in Hindi. Maybe that's not true, I don't know. But from what I understand of Hindi, it's spice mix. It can mean a lot of things. So I built a masala based on what I understood, what I can understand that are important spices that traveled through Barcelona at the time. So yeah, and the reason that, because this is ghost pepper, also known as Jolokia. It has many names depending on what language you're speaking.
It's a crazy name for a ghost pepper.
Yeah. So this is, I don't know on the Scoville level, but it's definitely, I think, still top 5, maybe 3, something like that. Heavy tomato base. Lots of garam masala.
Yeah, that's why I felt some tomato flavor, touch, like a hue kind of.
So this is designed for cooking. So so like the objective is, even though I'm using ghost pepper, which is very spicy, is to never blow you. I don't want you to suffer for the rest of the night. I want there to be the flavor foundation to support like the super spice. I always want the spice to sit very thin on the foundation of flavor. So I went heavy on umami. Tomato contains a ton of glutamates, really umami heavy. The kombucha used is infused with kombu, seaweed from Galicia. All of these spices like give this impression of like there's like a slightly not so smoky, but like a whiff of smoke, savory. Yeah, that's kind of the concept behind.
Oh, guys, if you guys like hot sauce, if you like heat, this is the one to go, man. Wow.
Deep flavor. Also,
I woke up. I was kind of dozing off, you know, like, wow, man. Awesome. This is going to be my number one. And actually, tell the truth, people are buying this a lot.
Yeah.
Every time people come to the store, they're like, yeah. And I'm like, they're like, I want a sauce from Barcelona, you know, which is also strong. I'm like, Crybaby from ONIMA.
I'll take it.
Definitely. It's a good call. Really cool session, right?
Yeah.
I'm really happy to have you here at Spice Honeys.
Yeah. I'll come back for episode 100.
Damn. Yes, sounds cool. Yeah, this is the first one. You guys have any idea how important it is?
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Nice having you here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I wish you good luck with your product.
Yeah.
Here at Spicy Honeys, you guys can find ONIMA for sure. And, well.
Yeah, come check it out. Barcelona's only hot sauce shop. So
The first one, the best one.
Yep.
See you guys here.
Thanks.
See you soon. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.